Hello, Robert. Can you hear me? This is a test of the microphone. Hi, how are you? You're muted, by the way. I can't lip read very well. You're muted. You're muted,
Is
Michael.
that better?
Now it is, yeah.
So you're here early.
Well, I'm struggling as always with logging in because I have to log out of my own Zoom account and log in as the town executive assistant.
Oh,
So that takes about 3 passes to get the password right.
very good.
I don't know why it takes so long, but it always does.
Well, this worked for a change, worked out the very first time for me.
Oh, well, how have you been? You healthy? Hi, how are you?
Hi, Dick, is there a call-in number just in case my computer freezes up?
Hold on. Usually there is.
Yeah, I couldn't see one today. But usually there is one.
Well, you'll need the following piece of information. 913 4244
4244
2635.
two.
That's the meeting ID.
Okay.
And the passcode is 052840. Now, there is always just one Zoom number. You call that. So let me,
Oh, okay.
you call that number and you put in the information.
Right. And I've done it before, but somehow I'm not seeing it today.
Yeah, because I didn't paste it in. They give
Oh,
you 6 different places depending on what part of the country you're in.
right.
So the
Yeah.
phone number is, I think, 888-799-9666. But that could just be to go by Zoom.
Okay. Oh, all right. Let me try. I'm just going to call in and see if I can. All right. All right. 888-799-9666.
That may not work.
Thank you for calling Zoom Video Communications. For sales, press 1.
No,
Oh, and wait,
it's for customer service.
what
Zoom.
about to join a meeting? Did they get to that?
Oh, is it on that same
I
message?
don't know. Wait, you didn't wait to find out.
No. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'll take a chance with my computer tonight and try to find out that if I get that number, I'll hold on to it.
Okay.
But I've called in before and they don't D number
Right.
passcode.
Normally I include all that stuff, but it seemed like such a waste because no one ever called in. There are
Yeah.
6 numbers depending on what part of the country you're in. So let me go see if I can find an old email that has all the information. Yes, here's a number. The New York number is 646
Okay.
876
876
9923.
9923.
And then you'll need to put in the meeting ID and the password that I gave you. So why don't you try it now?
Okay. I will, because my computer just froze up a few seconds ago. So, all right. First, I'm going to put this on. I'm going to have to put my computer on mute. So, all right. That's one.
Hope it's the same number.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound. your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. Please enter the meeting password followed by pound. You are in the meeting now. There are 5 participants in the meeting. This meeting is being recorded. You are muted. You can mute or unmute yourself by pressing *6.
Now you have to turn off the sound on your computer. That's 2 things. You have to mute yourself, which you are, and you have to turn the sound off.
Okay,
But I
how's
think-
that? Better?
Yes, it is. I think you're all set now. We can hear you. clearly.
Okay. Is everybody on mute?
No,
No,
no, most of them are, yeah.
Oh, okay. It suddenly went very silent.
Okay, so that didn't work too well. Oh, I changed your name on the phone. Okay,
Yeah, my name's showing up.
now it's on both, your picture and your phone.
Okay, that's good.
So it looks as if we have a quorum. And what time is it?
7:17.
Okay, we're supposed to start at 7:15. So why don't we begin? Another happy Zoom session. Let's see.
I did not do the minutes yet, so I'll be better the next 4 months.
Okay. We'll forgive you. We appreciate you doing them at all. Certainly nobody is stepping up to saying they could do a much better job.
Yeah, well, thank you. Sorry, I came to compliment, but I'll take it.
Okay, so
Hey, Dick, before you start, can you tell us, how's Esther doing?
Esther's fine. That was just a false alarm.
Oh, I'm so glad to.
Good.
Yeah.
Um,
So do you want to start the meeting? We'll say it starts at 7:18.
Yes, let's begin. So since we don't have any minutes to approve at this point, we'll begin with the discussion of electric vehicles for the town. Was it you, Carol, who sent it around, or Suzanne? I forget.
I think it was Suzanne.
Suzanne, do you want to talk about that?
Oh, is this about sending the article to Chief Hurley about the Topsfield electric
It was
vehicles?
about the Topsfield electric vehicles. You didn't just send it to him? Okay. Yes.
Oh,
it's
I
about
did,
that
I sent
topic.
it to him.
Okay.
I did send that to him, and he did respond. And, next time they're up for a new vehicle, he could be very interested in that.
Okay, so right now we're all in a watchful waiting state, right? Waiting for something
Yeah,
to be viable. And it will probably be close to a year from now before we buy another police car, right?
most likely.
I'm not sure if Chatham is buying police cars. I know they're buying electric cars for the town, but they may not be buying police cars. I think I heard that.
Yeah, I don't know that there's any police departments on Cape that have the EV
Mhm.
for, cruisers or whatever. And I think there was just a lot of concern all over the place, same as Chief Hurley had, that they there's a question of how good they are under extraordinary circumstances of chases or whatever they have to do.
Yeah, the
Whether it
problem
would
with an
hold up.
electric car chasing somebody is you'll run up their rear end so quickly because they accelerate so fast.
Ah,
They're
right.
faster than anything else.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah,
electronics on board and the longevity of it, and the fact that the fleets are so small here that as far as backups are concerned, there was a problem. So I
And
mean,
if you have a one-off of one kind of vehicle and it breaks, what do you do?
yeah.
So even though electric cars are more reliable, everything breaks. You get flat tires, people ram into you, and it takes a while to get them repaired. But they are
Right.
much more
Yeah.
reliable than other cars. They don't need oil changes. They don't need any maintenance at all except windshield washer fluid and wiper blades every 40,000 miles.
Downloads for
Downloads, yeah. However, that happens while you're asleep, so it doesn't matter.
yeah. Well, the police cruisers never do sleep right, Yeah, they,
Oh, I don't believe that in the least.
yeah.
Their cars are probably run one shift a day.
Yeah, well, I think that as time goes on, they'll be more confident and comfortable with
Mhm.
technology. But and as other towns adopt them, and
Yeah.
I think that the smaller towns, especially when there's fewer vehicles and fewer backups, they'll feel more comfortable and confident. So that was a great article. Thank you so much. Carol sent the mitigation plan, right? Is that?
Right, that's on our agenda too. Carol, what do you want to say about that?
Apparently, they're going to review it at the next Tuesday's select board meeting, and they're asking for public comment.
We
I
have
find it
any?
interesting that a lot of other committees are sort of represented by having somebody on the group that made this plan, but we are not. However, we are listed as a stakeholder in a list of other things, and I wonder, did the committee approach you, Dick, about,
Not that I can recall.
yeah, because it says that they plan to or
Well,
did.
you've looked at it. What's your opinion of the plan? Is it lacking in something important?
Well, I've been going through it with a fine tooth comb and, have a lot of editorial things. I haven't finished looking at the goals. Some of them are not very clear to me.
So mitigation
example-
means that we assume that sea level rise has already occurred, and now we're trying to figure out what we do about it, right?
Well, there are lots of different goals.
Mhm.
I mean, one thing that's in there is trying to find an alternative to Route 6. In the previous report, there was talk about using the bike path, and that's just not mentioned at all. So
Mhm.
what are the other alternatives? I mean, I don't really understand.
Is that climate change mitigation, or is that just risk management in general?
Mismanagement,
Risk management.
risk management. It's hazard mitigation, all kinds of hazards.
All kinds of hazards. So I guess that's a very good point. What do we do if Route 6 is blocked because there's a 4-car pileup on Route 6? And some of the victims of the accident are on the outer Cape side of the traffic. What do we do about that?
Well, I don't really understand what the report is saying. So,
Well, is that something we should bring up as part of the discussion, or we should send a note saying we're concerned? Okay, why don't we note that we are concerned about the fact that one of the risks was the possibility that Route 6 is blocked, not through climate action, but simply we have a traffic accident that totally blocks Route 6. And furthermore, it blocks Route 6 up near where the South Wellfleet General Store was, so that you don't even have access to the helipad that's at Marconi Station. Right? What do we do? How do we get around that?
So are you planning on attending the select board meeting? I was
don't
planning
know.
on
This is
sending
the first
written
I
comments.
thought about it. Do you think we should?
Yeah, I mean, I have something else I wanted to do that evening, but I put it in the
Okay.
calendar because I
Okay,
want to see what other people have to say about it as well.
right. Well, what do other people in the committee feel about issues in the mitigation plan?
Well, I think,
Well,
I think that, Carol's right, that this is a real problem for our town if we're not going to be able to work it out with the park and use the bike path. I know that Chief Hurley and Chief Polly, well, we know Chief Polly had mentioned it when we met with he and the fire chief and DPW several years ago. But I'm not so sure that this, we're charged as a Wellfleet Energy and Climate Action Plan. I'm not so sure that's part of climate action, but I think as citizens, I certainly would like to voice my opinion about that. I'm not so sure it's charged that particular issue is part of our purview, but there could be other issues that Carol has identified or that we could identify. But I thank you for bringing it to our attention, Carol. I'll try to get to the meeting myself as well.
So
Can I
let's
ask you,
take a
is the bike
broad
trail
view.
owned
of-
by the national park?
It's within the bounds of the national park, and I don't know if the entire thing. I mean, I know that the state has done some work and paving, and I don't know what is owned by the state, what's owned by the town, and what's owned by the park. But I know that certainly there, when we talked with the fire chief, the police chief, and the DPW, they were talking about talking with the park. So, yeah.
Well, it did say something about park, park land is not a possibility. Now, my property borders on the bike path, and my understanding is that the park starts after the bike path, but I don't really know what I base that on.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the bike path is owned by the state. It's part of the state parks.
You mean
not
that?
the federal government.
I'm not so sure about that, Dick. I mean, I think there's parts of it that are on the property of the National Seashore. So, I mean,
Well, it's the state that maintains it, that I know. That paves it and that plows it and so on.
Oh, is it plowed actually?
I'm afraid so. You can't go skiing on it because they're so aggressive in plowing it.
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, because there's parts of it goes on a path where I walk a lot, and I've noticed that it's I thought the snow melted pretty fast because of the blacktop.
Well, it probably does, but there were times when we had some decent snow. I wanted to go skiing and it had been plowed already.
Oh wow!
But I'm looking at the agenda for the next select board meeting, and I don't really see
It's not on there?
this on the agenda. I'll
Let's
tell you
see.
what, I'm going to
Where
share
did
my
I-
screen and we'll go through it.
I can't remember where I saw the information that it was
Can you
supposed to
see my
be
screen?
discussed.
That's your
You're about to start sharing it. You know, I just wanted to say about that area of Route 6. That's come up as a climate change concern in terms of flood risk,
Oh, that's true.
and it was talked about. So I do think it's on our, it should be on our radar
Yeah,
as an interested party.
right. Oh, that's true.
COPS grant, that's Chief Hurley. I don't miss, oh, here it is. Municipal Hazard Mitigation Plan, Chief Hurley. Business item 1, 3 bullets and then item 1. Go figure.
Right.
Okay, so that's looks
Okay,
like,
so it is on the agenda.
and this is an in-person meeting,
Oh,
Oh,
not a Zoom
oh
meeting.
dear.
Yes.
virtual and in person.
Well,
Virtual.
I guess you can call in, but it is at the senior center. Hopefully it.
It looks like, yeah, it looks like there's a Zoom link too,
Mhm.
Okay,
by all
yes,
appearances.
here it
Yeah.
is. So either way,
Well, I mean, I think, Carol, are there other issues that you have identified that we should be concerned about?
Well, I think we should be concerned about all of it because most of it, you know, the hazards are all that they identify are all increased by climate change.
But
Well-
I mean, but their report, the recommendations are the things that are disturbingly like,
I admit to not reading the report. Did they talk about flooding due to climate change as a hazard to be mitigated?
Yes, flooding is one of the things that they've identified.
So they talked about the low-lying roads, like Commercial Street and so on.
Yep.
Okay.
so are there any conclusions, I guess, or are summaries that you think are lacking or incorrect or that we should be weighing in on?
Can't read my own writing. Blah. No, not yet.
Okay. Will you email us if you identify things?
I could send you a copy of the comments that I submit.
Okay.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
So that was the only item on the agenda we thought was relevant to us for the select board meeting, right?
I'm sorry?
That was the only item on the select board meeting that we thought was relevant to us.
I haven't looked at the agenda, so.
Okay. All right. Committee
I ask you-
liaison reviews. Moving to the next item. Does anyone have anything to say with any committee they've been interfacing with? No. We're all doing a great job. Okay. We are part of the Outer Cape Energy committees. And I've been trying to get an Outer Cape Energized program going. Finally, I decided I would just, an opportunity came up to present it to one of the local, to the church, the synagogue I belong to, Am Hayam, and the Orleans Federated Church and the Orleans, one other Orleans church. So I did, it's a 3-session program. And the first session was yesterday and it seemed to go pretty well. It had to do with conservation measures, heat pumps, electric appliances and so on. And the presenters were me and Cape Light Compact. Supposed to be Maggie, but she didn't make it, and one of her analysts came and presented. He did a very good job. Dale, I think, Dan, did a very good job. So I was very happy. And I
What are
guess
the other
we'll try
two?
and do it again, other places.
Dick, what are the other two sessions?
The second session is on electric vehicles and the third section is on solar PV. The solar PV is like the ones we've done twice before. And electric vehicles is now a whole session because it's getting closer to reality, even though it's not quite here yet. It's within a year or two of being something that everyone can do. Year or two or three, and therefore it's worth making people aware of what electric vehicles are all about. So part of it is a presentation from me about the technology, and part of it is someone who took a road trip across the country in an electric vehicle talking about what the reality is in terms of charging and so on.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I think it should be. I haven't heard it, but she gave it at the Eastham Library a few months ago. So she's going to do an excerpt up from it. But it should be interesting, a road trip. I'd love to do one. We just went-
Actually, Ara, my husband Ara's cousin, has an electric vehicle, and they just went to Kentucky to a wedding.
Mhm.
And one of the features of their car, which is pretty new, is that when traveling like that, it will tell you where the charging stations are.
They have a Tesla?
You know, I don't know.
Oh.
I'm not sure.
Not
I
only
haven't
do
had a
they
chance
tell you
to
where
talk
the
to her yet.
driving stations are, but if you're busy chatting, the car pulls off and heads to the charger. That happened to me once.
Oh my
That
gosh.
is, we're driving
Wow.
down the highway and all of a sudden the car goes into the right lane, pulls into a service area and starts heading to the back. And I say,
Oh my
I didn't
God.
think we were going to stop till Madison, Connecticut. And my grandson says, this is Madison, Connecticut. So I would have driven right by it, but the car knew. And literally
Wow.
got off the highway and headed to the charging.
That's kind of scary.
It's
Yeah, well, I had gotten used to it enough that I didn't try to take control back. I let it do its thing since it didn't look like I was crashing into anything. So yeah, they're very good at that. We just went to Washington, DC and back. It was 1,100 miles round trip. And the car pulls off the charging stations. It plans the route and pulls off when you need to.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's fun to drive too. How did he like his trip, your cousin? Susan?
I haven't spoken to them since they've gone, but I do want to hear about it. Really curious.
Well, we looked at flying to Washington and it was 7 hours, planning, because you have to drive to the bus and then you take the bus to Boston. You have to get to security 2 hours before your flight. Then the flight's only an hour, but then you have to rent a car and get to the hotel and everything. So it was nominally a 7-hour trip. And Dave did it. I talked to Dave Mead Fox about it. And he said he flew and it took him 8.5 hours because there was a tie-up at the car rental place. So I said, well, my car says it's only 9 hours to drive. So I'm going to drive, Of course, it took me 10.5 hours because there was a tie-up in Baltimore. But Esther's opinion of the trip was it was the most pleasant trip she's ever taken because we listened to a book the whole way, forgot about driving, and just sat there and listened to Where the Crawdads Sing for 9 hours going down and coming back, and it was just a pleasant trip. Just sitting and
That's
listening
nice.
to a book. So no tension, no nothing. I have to hold on to the wheel to let it know I'm still alive, and it does everything else. So all I do is supply proof of life. And the car trots the rest of the way. So yeah. But it's the wave of the future. I think three things are going to happen. One, there'll be electric vehicles. Two, there'll be self-driving cars. And three, people will have transportation as a service, meaning Uber and Lyft. So that works out to electric robo-taxis, and people will own fewer cars. And they may own one, but they won't, families won't own two. The second car will call it when you need it. It's a few years off, right? Okay. Anyway, that's our next talk. And then the one after that is solar PV. And I've got to go get a vendor to help me on that because everything
So-
changes all the time.
Has everybody kept up with that story about Yarmouth and the solar contractor that ghosted the town?
No, what happened? Tell me about that.
Oh, God. Okay, so I don't know every single detail, but I think Yarmouth was working with a contractor, recommending that contractor. Maybe there was some rebate involved or whatever for residents. This was for residents to sign up and have PVs put on their
Mhm.
homes. And the company apparently, I don't know if they went bankrupt or whatever, but it closed overnight. And some of the jobs were incomplete. Some people put down deposits and the work never started. And so the town of Yarmouth has to deal with all of this because they stood behind the name of that contract.
Was it a Solarize Yarmouth program like the kind we had?
It sounds like it was. It was something very similar to that. It was a program
Mhm.
that the town was running.
Great. Oh, I ought to find out from the person in Yarmouth I see all the time at Cape Light Compact.
Yeah, look into it. It was that was bad. I was concerned that if everybody on the Cape gets wind of that, there's going to be a lot of paranoia around.
Yeah, what I'm trying to do with this next go round is the program that Mass CEC ran called Solarize Wellfleet or Solarize whatever has ended. They're not in the business anymore. And that means that the entity from the town that wants to sign a contract with a vendor, you can't do it as a project. Maybe a town could do it, but you can't do it as a project because you're not a corporation. So there's nobody to sign the contract. So I thought that the best thing is there are so many vendors around now. We just come up with a short list of 5 people and tell people to get multiple bids, and we'll help them evaluate it. Because the Solarize programs tend to attract one big guy. And I think we'd like to have lots of little guys in the business. So that's the way I'm leaning.
At the beginning, we had the 3 on Cape vendors who band together and
Right.
said that they would give the discounts at different levels where, if there were 50 homes and everybody got a
Yeah,
certain,
the discount didn't amount to a hill of beans, though. It was a
but
couple of $100 on a $15,000 project.
yeah, but it was supposed to, if we didn't go the Solarize route and we did it the town route like this, the town of Stowe did, they were going to actually give us a big discount, which then when we went to the state rules gave them the opportunity to not give us such a big discount. So, that was a loss for the
It
people
was
that,
an opportunity, but it was a competitive bid. So on the
yeah,
second round, where there were actually 5 people bidding, the prices were very competitive. The first round, there was only 1 bidder. So
Okay.
that's why it didn't seem like a big deal.
we were first going to do the project modeled after the town of Stowe, which
Yeah.
we had that, and the 3
Right.
that we had ended up with had given us a very good deal. But then and members of the committee wanted to do the state program. So we transitioned to doing that. The vote went in that direction, and the people that recipients didn't get.
Right. So the state program was,
But in any event, that's history. So, I mean, I don't know if you have a better chance to negotiate. I mean, certainly those 3 vendors are still in business, and there are other vendors on the Cape that are also in business, and perhaps they would be willing to do a discount for these entities that would be actually something that would be beneficial to the people that do have homes and businesses.
my gut feeling, Lily, is that if a homeowner gets 3 different bids or 4 different bids, they'll end up with a lower price overall or a better deal on their own than if we did a mass and tried to give the business to everyone, putting all the eggs in one basket and ending up with someone who's slow and there's no recourse for.
Well, I thought it was a really positive thing because, the first time we did it, because there were 3 different vendors and people were able to get different bids. I mean, have
But
different.
they gave us the same price.
Yeah, they gave us the same price, but something, there was variation in the theme because, they're like, the Katuitt Solar had older panels and newer panels, and they gave a better price on the older panels than they did the newer panels. I mean, so there were a little.
Yeah, in all the cases, not just the 2 times we did it, but the other towns, the vendor comes in with a 2-tier bid, the
Right.
standard panel and the premium panels.
Right.
So the Cotuit did the standard panel, and the other 2 actually matched his price on standard panels.
Right, they
And
did.
then on the premium panels, they used SunPower, which Cotuit wasn't a vendor for. So he couldn't match that.
Well,
But
yeah.
people had a choice of standard versus premium.
Yeah.
And depending on which one you wanted, that's the panel you got.
Yeah.
That's the vendor you got.
Well, yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I was just thinking of that as you're moving forward with the Amhayam and these 2 churches. But anyway, Robert's on, and I'm sure he wants to tell us about the Global Covenant of Mayors status and actions.
Okay, we haven't heard from you, Robert. What's happening with the Global Covenant of Mayors?
You're
Okay,
muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they've rewritten the very complicated set of questions that they standardly made everybody answer, and recognize that this was a blockage of getting information, actually. So they have rescaled this thing, and you can declare what kind of a town you are. Is it a city? Is it this? Is it that? And then have a minimal set of questions that you have to answer to comply with the information requirements. And so I'm looking forward to this time going through the set of questions and being able to do a more thorough job on the important questions. So that's where I stand on it now. They've sent out a lot of information about how to do it, and I will start on that. It has to be finished by the end of July. So I will really start putting major effort into it at the beginning of June.
Do you see any roadblocks?
No, without having gone through the questions, the philosophy is much better. I don't know of any obstacles at this point.
Mhm.
I think one of the questions is they want some actual real things to happen. But in connection with this, I noticed that somebody's organized a redo of the mitigation story. The 3Cs is wants the town of Wealthy document that was done in what was it, 18? They're redoing that now. Who's in?
SPCs, Cape Cod
The-
Commission?
Yes,
Are you talking about the hazard mitigation plan?
yes.
Because there's a new draft out for a 2022 hazard mitigation plan.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, that's going before the select board on Tuesday. That's
Right.
what we were talking about earlier.
So none of us have been involved in that, I take it.
Right.
No, but now is our chance. They're accepting comments on this plan. And we're listed as a stakeholder.
And this is what, next Tuesday?
Yes,
Yes.
I
And
forget.
it's
when the
in
comments
person
are
and a
due.
Zoom meeting.
The comments are due sometime soon.
Before the meeting?
No, I don't think before the meeting.
So the main comment we have is we're concerned about access if Route 6 is blocked and alternative methods, right?
I wouldn't say that's the only or the main comment. I haven't finished going through it myself.
Okay. Well, you said they did cover the low-lying roads issues, right?
It talked about that as an ongoing problem that we have a grant for.
Mhm. Okay. All right.
It would be nice to be able to update that particular part of the submission that the town has made to the covenant.
It might be ready by June 1st when you start working.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, so that's I'm looking forward to getting a more complete job in the sense that a lot of the details that they had put in there that were not necessarily that relevant have been removed.
Mhm.
They complained that some of the things that we didn't fill out, but now the decision about how much you have to fill out is very different.
Okay. Let's see, June is coming up, or July 1st. I guess we have to go read the meters in the town for the green communities. Filling out the green communities report. I think that's why we fill, or is it for your plan that we have to read the meters, Robert? To do the production. I think it's a Green Community Act submission, right?
It's the thing that Margaret Song does.
Yeah,
Yes,
Green
that's
right.
Community
Yeah.
Plan.
right. That was part of Green Communities Act, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I
By
think
the
so.
way, we have completed the grant last year, and now we're applying for another grant, right? Is that where we
Yeah.
stand? So when do
Yeah.
we hear about that, or when do we submit it? Or is it?
Oh, it's been submitted. My understanding, it's been submitted. That included a request for the police hybrid vehicle.
Mhm.
So that went at, I think that was submitted in April.
Okay,
By
So
DPW.
it's just a question of hearing back. about whether, and that's going to take a few months, probably by the end of summer into
Mhm.
fall.
Okay. So we don't have any action right now. We just have to make sure we submit our report again this year.
Yeah.
But actually, there is no report because we haven't gotten the grant yet. Or is it an annual report we submit one way or we submit it one way or the other, right?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's not let that one fall through the crack again.
Are there other grants that you need to?
No, there are no grant projects at this point. In the grant part of things, one thing that I've gotten sidetracked on, and I'm really trying to get it together, is to put together a shareable calendar of grant application deadlines and, you know, the types of grants. So just something that everybody can have access to and know about, and then maybe plan projects around that. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, I don't think I reported this to this committee. I was in touch with Hillary and looking into the possibility of a grant tracking software program for our town. Or maybe at one point I was thinking maybe to be shared by the other Outer Cape towns. And I started researching that. And there, as far as I know, there's not really software. It tends to be more membership programs. But anyway, it's very, very expensive. But Hillary asked me
How much is
to
very
look.
expensive?
Yeah.
How much is very expensive?
Oh, maybe 10,000 a year.
Okay, there's a program called Grant Station, which runs about
Yeah.
$700 a year for nonprofits. If you get it through
Right.
TechSoup. I don't know.
Yeah.
I looked at that. I couldn't tell if it was appropriate.
Yeah, you know, I have to start looking more closely at those. Carol and I have collected a few. So it's a question of sitting down and seeing what they offer, and then putting it forward to Hillary to see if maybe she's asking for free software, but maybe for something, you know, $700 a year, if it really solved quite a few problems, it might just be worth it.
Mhm. Why don't you look at Grant Station and see if we can get it through TechSoup as I don't know how that's for nonprofits. I don't know if towns qualify, but I'm not too sure what it costs if you just buy it.
Is it something that you can buy individually? Because that's what I originally had in mind,
A
and
nonprofit
wasn't
buys
really
it.
running into that.
If you know, I'm involved with Nauset Neighbors, which is a nonprofit, and some of the organizations like that have paid staff and budgets in the $100,000 range. So they're actively going after grants, and they use Grant Station. Now, it may be the funder databases aimed towards people who are in the services, you know, social welfare services as opposed to the climate. I don't know.
Sorry to interrupt. I have to go now. So I
Okay.
look forward to the next meeting.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
So there goes our quorum.
There's still a quorum. 4 of us are met out of 7.
Oh, okay, right.
And Suzanne counts twice because I see her twice.
Right. By split personality.
Right. Okay. So what was the next item on our agenda?
PV reporting.
Excuse me?
Coles Neck PV reporting.
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Coles Neck PV
Oh,
reporting?
Coles Neck
Lily, I
Road.
apologize. I can't understand.
The transfer station PV,
Oh, yes.
landfill
I
PV.
have not learned anything about that. It's still running, but I have no idea what's happening. Coles Neck Road reporting, yeah. I keep writing to them, not hearing. I guess I better go talk to Jay Norton and see. Also to find out if the town is getting any money, which,
Mm.
because presumably by now we should see checks being deposited. Okay, there is one thing, just as a joke, I'd like to share. We were talking about electric cars and the transition to electric vehicles. And this is a classic photo that people have used. On the left is Easter morning, 1900, the Fifth Avenue Parade. And if you can see faintly, there is one car in this parade, and the rest are all horse-drawn carriages. It's hard to tell, but they're all drawn by horses. And then
Yeah.
13 years later, same spot, and it's all cars in the Easter parade, and somewhere in there is a horse-drawn carriage. That's how fast the switchover occurred.
Wow.
And that's what people are expecting with EVs. It was only 13 years, and a few things happened in between, like World War I. Nonetheless, change happened within a dozen years. People think the switchover would be just as fast to electric vehicles. The same switch was from the telephone, the kind you'd pick up and use a dial, to a handheld smartphone. It was maybe 20 years, but it was quite a transition.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things that I think is going to happen with EVs. When it happens, it'll be all sudden, and 10 years later, nobody will understand why we didn't see it coming. But okay, let's go back to our agenda.
Most people do.
Are there any other topics for future meetings that people want to bring up, or something someone wants to talk about we didn't discuss? I thought I
Oh.
put it on the agenda, but I'm not positive I got everyone's noted.
Okay, actually, Dick, you weren't at the last meeting, but I brought up I had attended that workshop or Zoom meeting with the Cape Cod Climate Change Coalition.
Collaborative.
And one of the things that they had talked about that they offered are town energy and climate action committee web pages.
Mhm.
That they offer a web page that you can use
Right.
to communicate to your audience, and it's just good for drawing attention. And I guess it's set up, the platform is set up in such a way that you can upload things and upload reports and articles and things like that. So they're encouraging all the committees to join that and get on there. I don't think there's any cost to do it. So I posed the question at the last meeting about whether we would like to do that. And are we getting a lot of users at our website? And is it an easy to use website? I haven't been there in a while.
It's easy to use. All you type in is Wellfleet Energy Committee, and you can get a link to it from the town's website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any data on the traffic?
No,
You know, Dick, can you hear me okay?
yes,
Okay, so I said, I thought it maybe should be on the next agenda. Of course, I didn't do the minutes and I didn't communicate that to you, so my apologies. But I do agree that we should discuss it, at the next meeting.
we can certainly discuss it. We could probably do two things, one of which is to put links on both websites to the other one,
That's what
pointing in each way.
Yeah.
that.
The question always on a website is who's going to write the content? Okay, because it's not hard to do a website. It's hard to get content for a website. So does anyone have any idea about content we want to put on it?
Well, my point was that what we should do is the 5Cs webpage is use it to point people to our website and to the town's website. You know, that I thought would be a very helpful thing. Other
Yeah,
people,
but are we going to put any original content on any of those sites?
well, I know that Jeff Tash at one point said that he was willing to, you know, to post and write things. I mean, you know, he's still technically a liaison to the FinCom, but I don't know if anybody else would be willing to do that.
Well, let's go through. Is there anything that anyone in the group wants to write about what we're doing? That you'd
Quick
like to put out
calculator.
there? Carol?
I love the idea of those climate footprint calculators. Do we have anything about those on our website?
No. Do you want to round up a few and write an article summarizing them? And then
Yeah.
put links to all of them? And
Yeah.
then we could put that as an article, right?
I will try to undertake that.
Okay. Maybe I'll put something about the Outer Cape Energize, you know, what I just did with Amhayam in the 3 sessions. Suzanne, is there anything you want to write about?
Well, nothing immediately strikes me, but I'm very open to it if something does come up. Would it be valuable to write updates on grant project status? You know, I can inquire about how certain things are coming along and give an update on it.
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Lily, is there anything you want to contribute?
Well, I mean, if we continue on, if we move from this elevated COVID transmission to something that is more like last November-ish, I would be interested in moving forward with an EV car show if we could do that, and writing about something like that. I mean, if we could do something, you know, maybe late September or something, like as a goal, I mean, I would.
There's
Yeah.
a statewide organization that puts on EV car shows every year in April.
Okay.
Why
Oh.
don't we join them? Okay,
Okay.
they organize it, they advertise it, they give you some materials.
Could you send me information on that?
I'll try to dig it up again. I noticed as it passed by, it's EV Day, I think they call it. But we should coordinate with them. Various towns all put on shows during this week, and we could tie up with them. There was none on the Cape, so it would be a good time to do it.
Oh,
We
that
could
would,
probably get several towns to join us in sponsoring it.
yeah, and
And
April.
now there are actually more companies producing EVs. I think Ford in particular probably has some cars they could show.
Right. Yeah, and April would be a good month to do it too. Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we shoot for National EV Car Show Day? for April 2023. And I'll try to research it and send you the links, okay?
Dick, do you know whether there is information about traffic on our website that could be obtained from the town?
No, in order to get the town, you have to put in Google Analytics onto the website. And I don't recall if I put Google Analytics onto the town, the committee's website. Let me do it again. I'll share the screen. I'll show you the committee's website, not the town's website. Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, this is our website. I don't have much.
There's quite a lot of information.
Oh, there's tons of stuff, but I got tired of writing it. Oh, here we go. Climate change mitigation. Guess what? We wrote this years ago and we're still right. That's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So the town points to this, and this is presumably what we do as a committee. Mitigation and adaptation. And mitigation is town government, residents, and businesses. So the Energize program is what I was doing just now. Vulnerability studies, low-lying roads, shelters, climate change model bylaw. We haven't done much, but presumably this is all of our activities. Big picture. Who knows? And the last time it got updated was 2 years ago, right? On the meeting.
That does discourage people.
Yes, well, it's hard to keep agendas up, right?
Well, and especially with COVID too. I mean, you know, a lot of things did not get updated. So
Right.
like people give you a wide berth, shall we say.
Let's see
So-
who's on the committee. How
So-
up to date is that? Oh, I went to the town's website, so it's accurate.
So
More
can
than
I,
accurate.
so would our next meeting be June 13th at 7 PM or 7:15, or I don't understand.
7:15 again. I think it's a little easier. On June
What day
13th,
is that?
yes. June 13th is what day of the week? Thursday?
Thursday, third
Yeah,
Thursday of the month.
June 13th
Oh, wait,
is a
16th,
Monday.
I'm sorry. It's June 16th, 1/6. June 16th, Thursday, June 16th.
Looks like it's on my calendar,
Yeah,
and you guys are all invited.
okay.
So I will send this out again. By the way, we do have one alternate position open. Does anybody know
Who's
someone
Rose?
who's interested? Or have any leads?
So is Gordon now an official member?
No, we have two alternate positions. John Cumbler, who was an alternate, resigned.
Ah,
We've never filled that alternate position. Not that being an alternate makes much difference, except you don't get to vote to adjourn.
Does, everybody knows Olga Khan, right?
Yes, she's on the planning board.
Yeah. I wonder if she might be interested because she, she's contacted me a couple of times about climate change projects, what our committee might be working on. And right now she's collecting signatures to petition the state to divest from fossil fuels.
I'm not I'll be quite honest. I know it's on the record, but she ran against me and she's been quite mean-spirited towards me since she did not win and I did, as far as it is. I am not so inclined to, I do not think that that would be a good collaboration for her and me, given that circumstance. And I know this is,
Also, I think the planning board is a kind of a full-time job, right?
Is it?
We've
Okay.
lost David
Yeah, I
a
was-
lot. I think he goes to planning board meetings. I don't see him come here.
Right, yeah.
For a
Okay.
future,
Well, I'll keep thinking of
But-
ideas.
Yeah,
for a future agenda item, should we talk more about the idea of a climate action network?
oh,
the-
yes, that came
we
up.
talked
Let's
about the
talk
last-
about climate action networks. There, John Kumbler sort of was the nucleus of one in town. When the climate action networks across the Cape put all those climate emergency ballot initiatives on the ballot, he was the one who did it. But I don't think there was anyone but John involved in it. So the question is, do we want as a committee to try to create a climate action network group or not? I'm of two minds. I think it's a great idea to have one in town, but I'm not sure it's a great idea for us as a town committee to do it, because then they can't attack us for saying we're not doing enough. Does that make sense to you? I mean, I think they should be more of a gadfly and say, we're not doing enough, here's what you should be doing. And if we form it, that's not going to happen. And that's probably one of the main things they can do, because if there was anything else in the climate action area that we could do, we'd do it, that we knew about, we'd do it, right? So we need people who aren't us to kind of tell us what we're not doing.
Yeah. I mean, my preliminary idea, I'm in favor of one, and I thought a gadfly, that's definitely, that would be a really good function. The other thing was that I saw that type of network as an intermediary between us and the public, just to have more public outreach and get people more engaged.
Yeah, it always helps. There's an out of Cape coalition of these climate action networks. I actually sent them a nice healthy donation a few months ago, which they were very surprised at, because they said, "Who are you and how'd you hear about us?" But
And that's different from the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative?
collaborative, yes, it is. Though I think they may be trying to come in under the umbrella of the collaborative. That is one of the things the collaborative is trying to do, is foster these climate change networks. Just like we try to get people involved, right? I mean, that's what the Out of Cape Energize programs were about, to get the public involved. That was our attempt to do it.
We could post something on Facebook about, the Wellfleet community thing about needing an alternate.
Okay,
A good
Yeah.
idea.
all right. Do you want to do that?
You'll help me.
And just say, contact you or me and apply to the town if you're interested. The town appoints them, so.
I like the idea of an action network involving.
Lily, has
people.
Chuck showed up
Problem is,
to
how do
any
you
meet?
get them?
Yeah, has Chuck shown up in the last 3 or 4 meetings? Is he kind of,
I hate to ask how many meetings were,
well,
you,
when was the last time anyone saw Chuck?
Yes, I saw him at the farmer's market. Yes.
No, I mean at a meeting.
Ah,
so how many
Over
meetings,
a month.
You're
Is it-
Over a month,
automatically
I
off the
think.
committee if you miss 4 meetings. Or,
Meetings in a row.
yeah,
Well, the problem again too, that he had was he hadn't been sworn in. So,
oh, but the meeting when he told us he wasn't sworn in was probably 3 meetings ago, right?
right. So maybe Dick, if you have a conversation with him,
I've
you
seen him, that's the whole point, yeah.
have to go in that direction because that's kind of painful,
Mm.
unless he doesn't want to, which is a different story. But maybe since he has been sworn in, maybe if you just call him and talk with him, and show up at the next meeting.
But he was sworn in, and we had the conversation about his needing to be sworn in, I think within the last 4 months, right? So he must have been at some meeting.
Well, he was, but
Yeah,
that he was a member of the committee because he wasn't sworn in. So, I
I
mean,
don't think that's the way the bylaw reads, though. The
all right,
bylaw says you don't show up for 4 meetings.
okay. Well, why don't you just call him and just
Yeah.
thank him?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
And
Well-
David hasn't been coming lately. Is
Who?
that, what's
David.
that about?
yeah, he was at one several meetings ago, but maybe if you call him too, Dick, and just
mhm.
about the rules, that would be a helpful thing so that they stay actively engaged and,
Mhm.
they know what the rules are again. That would be helpful.
Yeah, I'll put it in a note to everybody.
Okay, that would be helpful.
All right, so we have time to go, right? There's nothing else?
No, I'll make a motion to,
Adjourn. And everyone can vote electronically by clicking
Second.
end. What? Roll call. Okay, Carol, Suzanne.
aye.
Aye,
Okay.
Yes.
Aye. See you next month.
thank you.
Next month. Have a great month.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.